Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ageless Rock. Our world was at one time dominated by an international culture who were particularly fond of making things with stones, and their favorite source is the bedrock itself. Whatever they left behind is for us to interpret based on its usefulness in ancient times. Today, we are going to check out mysterious circular stones at Peak District of Derbyshire in England. The similarity of this site can be found on the other side of the planet, but that site is just a tiny island called Yap Island. They are separated at a distance of about 12,000 kilometers or 7,500 miles if you fly across the north. There are thousands of circular stones in Yap Island, where mainstream calls them money, while there are over 1,000 in England is called grinding stone. On this island, where England became a highly developed nation in a very short period of civilization timeline, there is a place where the objects left behind by a megalithic culture have most people baffled and speechless. However, the mainstream archaeologists seem to have convinced everyone that they are millstones and there is nothing to see here. The place we are going to explore is called Stanage at Peak District of Derbyshire. It has a rather low and flat landscape, but the unknown ancient builders has decided that the higher ground of this sandstone bedrock at about 450 meters or 1,470 feet above sea level is the best spot to produce circular stones at industrial scale. According to mainstream version, millstones were used for milling for more than 2,000 years ago. These stones are a reminder that a few centuries ago, British were once busy manufacturing millstones for farmers for milling. It is said to have evolved from primitive tools called quern. Another interpretation is that British were using these as grinding stones for flour production. This invention can also be used for other things such as grinding the oil out of olive in the Mediterranean world. Another possible use of these circular stones in Britain is knife sharpening, but that is just a theory or belief because no one actually has evidence that these large stones were actually carved out of the bedrock for that purpose, because you only need a small circular stones for that job. So let's knock some sense into the nonsense. There are over 1,500 huge circular stones at Stanage Age. That is a lot of circular stones left over unclaimed on top of this bedrock. They seem to have been abandoned for a long time. But England do not have ancient history like China or India where archaeologists can say they are 3,000 years old. We are supposed to believe that hardworking British overproduced millstones just a few centuries ago and decided to abandon it. They could have rolled it down the slope and all the way to potential buyers, but instead they decided to leave them where they made them. For some unknown reason, ancient British decided to make most of them consistent in size. They all average approximately 1.8 meters in diameter and weighs an average of 2.4 tons. Can you imagine British of ancient times at one point in history were busy making millstones that nobody wanted to the tune of about 1,500 pieces. The largest circular stone is 2.2 meters in diameter and weighs 3.6 tons. This is so big and heavy that nobody seems to be interested to even steal it for their own use. So what makes you think that some ancient British would manufacture one like that without any customer? Was it a mindset of ancient British to make many super awesome circular stones and then wait for customers? Did farmers come up here to see the product, but everyone decided it is too big? How did the producer deliver these products to farmers? Look at this circular stone with rounded edge, which makes it look like an oval shape. I wonder what is the story for this new design. Looks like a prototype that came out of R&D department. Is it safe to assume that it was once a full-time career to chisel and carve millstones out of bedrock because of high demand? What was the mode of transportation for delivery if someone decided to buy this? Was it assumed that farmers were also masons and they carved their own millstones? If so, why did ancient farmers left behind over 1,500 millstones? Such level of wastage should have a known history of why it was left scattered all over a vast piece of land. For those who argue that they were grinding stones for agriculture, they have to justify why they are consistently huge and difficult to manage. At a glance, it seems to be for grinding stones, but a little probe will raise some doubt that was ever the case in Peak District. Those used for grinding, as shown in the photo, has two pieces of stones. The top has two holes. One is in the center called the eye. It is where you fill it with grains. The other is on the side to place a wooden stick so that it can be turned manually. The bottom surface of the top piece has patterns for grinding purposes. Grinding stones have two components. You have a top piece where grains can spin out between the two circular stones. If you are making grinding stones, you have to make the top and the bottom pieces. So that means the unclaimed circular stones should come in a set. Those at Stanage age are mostly circular stones with round holes. This level of production will not make sense for grinding stone theory. The stones at Peak Districts are not what you can readily use for grinding stone set. They are mostly the top piece. Why are there visibly so few bottom pieces? Furthermore, none of the top piece has the second hole for placing a stick for your hand to hold to spin. If these stones were made by farmers or made for farmers, they would have been mostly half the size in diameter. What are the odds that ancient British consistently came to the top of this bedrock to make consistently large circular stones with drill holes in the middle and no holes on the side to place a stick for spinning? What are the odds that none of these stones have striations on the underside for grinding grains? What are the odds that there are too few circular stones for the bottom piece for a grinding stone set? So you have to hunt the entire bedrock for a fitting size to match the top piece and the bottom piece. If you say some are for knife sharpening, then you also have the burden to prove that these 2-ton circular stones were actually used for sharpening knives. Did ancient British actually roll one of these stones down the slope, put them on a wagon, and bring them home so that they can have sharp knives? Try and imagine a scenario of how these circular stones ended up here. Is it possible that British spent a lot of time quarrying bedrock, cut them into nice circular stones, dressed them to a decent level of smooth surface, carve a hole in the middle, and left it here for someone to pick it up? Was it easy to roll onto a cart and cart them away to end users? Did ancient British here had buildings with roof to produce nice circular stones that nobody wanted when it was completed? Or did they carve and shape under the sun on a sunny day only? One of the most compelling evidence that this site was of a megalithic culture is the rectangular hole, which mainstream would call this a tomb if there is a lid. An open rectangular hole collecting rainwater is typically useless other than collecting rainwater. It looks like a water tank function, but no one can actually be 100% sure. Let's take this circular stone as example for deduction. It looks like it is pretty complete and ready to be used. Would anyone make this to sharpen his knives? I think it is too big and too much work even to bring home just for sharpening knives. If this is for grinding grains, where is the second hole to put a stick for handle? I bet the bottom has no striation meant for grinding grains. If this is for pressing fruits for oil, then it will join the rest of the 1,500 unclaimed stones scattered across Peak District. There are simply too many circular stones on top of one bedrock. The only logical mainstream narrative is that this was a quarry. But that will raise other questions. Where are the unfinished stones? Where are the stones still halfway in the bedrock? Farmers do not carve stones out of bedrock. Farmers today use tractors, but they don't make tractors. They just buy from manufacturers. Those who did this must have been quarrying as full-time business and plan to have a huge inventory. But that doesn't make sense either because that will drive the price down. If there is any evidence of the unknown ancient builders, it will be this rock. A round hole mainstream would say ancient British were pounding grains in the open field. A row of small holes is a mysterious gear track mark I mentioned in other videos under comparison playlist. Then we have long deep cuts which even if ancient British can do this, why would they? No one drills a hole, make deep cuts, and try to split the rock at the same time. There are many circular stones here and I still cannot understand what happened here. Were they easily manufactured with ancient tools even though no one is buying and were written off from inventory? But there is another anomaly in this photo. There is a rectangular block that doesn't belong here. How do you explain ancient British would spend a lot of time and effort making a rectangular block only to have it become a relic of unknown purpose? This site is an intriguing site only to those who wear megalithic lens. Another circular stone you can find at a nearby site known as Odin Mine is a circular stone with a square hole. It is only a 20-minute drive west of Stanage Millstone. It is said to be a crushing wheel with iron track made in 1823. This 1.75 meters diameter cost 40 pounds to make. It goes to show that when the original megalithic remnants are mixed with modern man-made objects, we need megalithic lens to see that there is something wrong with the picture. If these are not yet state monuments and I happen to live nearby, I would gladly roll one of these priceless ancient megalithic stones as a decoration in my front yard. At least there will be a happy stone I can use to sharpen my knife. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this short presentation on mysterious millstones of Stanage age. See you in the next video and have a wonderful day. This is Berniong signing out. Bye for now.